one Sunday, where our family sat down to dinner when I was 3 years old, and there were 8 children. And when we got up from the table, my brother and my mother said they didn't feel that real well. On Thursday, my brother died, and on Saturday, my mother died, and my father was left with 7 children under age 13. Now my mother, they had met when they were both physicians, my mother and father. She didn't practice, but that's where they met in college. She played solo violin for the Pittsburgh Symphony when she was a teenager. She was one of those people that is just an unbelievable, a lovable person. When she died, it was the front page of the newspaper, and the town shut down for the funeral. It was a double funeral, of course. My father had to get 2 caskets, and in between changing diapers and doing the rest of the things. But the town, 5,000 people, they closed the stores because everybody went. So she left a vacancy that was significant. What does a person do when they're widowed with 7 children under age 13? They remarry quickly. And he found a 40-year-old woman that had never been married, and she seemed to have certain spiritual and musical talents, and brother, if she is willing, he was, and she signed on. And as we look back to it, there's no way that in a small town anybody could step into the cavern that my mother left. So she didn't know anybody, and everybody knew her, and she struggled quite a bit in many ways. I won't go into it at length, but the point that I want to make is this: that she believed in abuse, in mental and emotional and just all kinds of ways. And then to make it even stronger, my father had only wonderful relationships with women. He had a wonderful grandmother, he had a wonderful mother, and then he was married to my mother, and so all of his experiences with women, but he didn't know there were other kinds. And so when she said, "I'd like to bring my mother," well, he thinks, you're newlywed and you got 7 kids, it's got to be overwhelming. Sure, bring your mother. Whoa. That was the chief leper in the leper colony. So so our lives were very distressed, if you looked at it on paper. But except for the situation my brother I just described with my one brother, all of us have been very, very successful, and we've had wonderful, wonderful lives. And let me tell you why. It's because we knew that my father loved us, and that he was a rock, and he was solid. And no matter what those women said, and no matter what they did, and we've talked about this. And my oldest sister, who had to be the mother hen, she was the one that told me I should marry Liz and that kind of thing. So, she says, people say that things happen for the best. She said, I've been trying to think about what good ever came from Mother dying, and she said, I haven't come up with any of it yet. So sometimes things just aren't real clear as to why this happened. But when it does, I want to say that there is no substitute for a solid, steady, biblical, loving father. And everything else doesn't matter. And I've shared that a couple of times with friends. I have an assistant secretary of state here that's been a long time friend and went through a similar situation. His wife was mistreating his children and saying the things that would tend to scar them and all. And I assured him that as long as he is strong, as long as he is steady, that gives them the anchor to which they can hold. And now, in these years later, it's proven to be true. And so I just want to let you know that whatever has happened, that all you need is a person that you can rely upon and trust, and things will work out in the end. And so as we lock hands and fight the battles that stand before us, we're going to do it not only for ourselves, but for our children and for generations to come. And I applaud you and honor you for it. God bless.